Hello and welcome to Stumps and Sixes, where every cricketing moment finds its voice. The group stage is over and we are into the Super 8's. It's India versus Afghanistan. Your initial thoughts, Gershon?
I think it's great. We have a washed out match. Of course, we'll get into that. But yeah, it was a given that India would go into the Super 8's. If you look at the bigger picture, some clear surprises that we have in the team. But as far as India is concerned, I think up until here was a given that if anything under this would have been a surprise if they hadn't made it till here. So great signs all around. Complete team performances in a few matches and some standard performances in a few matches. So yeah, great signs for India going forward.
Yeah, no doubt. And the India's-Canada game was a washout. So my question is, was it a boon or a bane? Because boon, for obvious reasons, players got rest. Bane, it could be that we were supposed to give chances to some other players, try out some new things.
Yeah, I think India wouldn't want a rest day. I think the players would be looking out to go out there and perform. And as you mentioned, a couple of players would have thought that they've not been given a chance up until now. That they would get a chance going forward in the Canada game. But I think it's been raining continuously in Florida, and it's a few matches have been washed out. And see, these are uncontrollables that India doesn't have it in their hand. And given that it's washed out, I think they're going to go ahead with the same 11, not going to try test out in the Super 8s. But yeah, I would like to think that it's India would be scratching their hands and thinking that they missed out on a chance to get some game time for their other players. But yeah, uncontrollables, and you can't change the course of nature. So yeah, they'll be looking to put their best foot forward against Afghanistan.
No, actually, it was not because of the rain. It was not raining that time. It was because of the wet outfield.
Right.
So there was lots of chatter because was there under preparedness because it was not raining, but because of wet outfield, the games are getting cancelled.
Yeah, I mean, when it's the highest level of the game, and the management behind the game have to be prepared in terms of getting the game ready as possible. But that being said, I think there's a little bit of wiggle room only because it's the first time USA is organizing event this big in terms of cricket, and the grounds were all made in the last couple of months and all of that. So there might be a little bit of wiggle room. But that being said, India has done a great job to come to a position where the Canada match didn't matter. But let's just say, a couple of matches had not gone their way, and they had a must-win game against Canada, and then if it rained, that would have caused a lot of eyebrows, So that being said, I think they need to be a little more prepared. And going forward, I think the next few matches are going to be played in West Indies, where it's not much of rain is not a problem. But yeah, that being said, there should be a little bit of preparedness. But course of nature, I think ICC is going to implement the right things to do to come back stronger and make sure it doesn't happen again.
Yeah, for sure. And that's for the USA. Now we move from the USA to West Indies. So in the West Indies, when we talk about West Indies pitches, it's obviously going to get a bit better for the batters. Also, it's going to assist spin. So when we say it's going to assist spin, immediately it's a no-brainer that Kuldeep Yadav comes into play. He can be a match winner, obviously. So do we throw him in the mix?
Absolutely. I think not just Kuldeep. I'd play both Kuldeep and Chahal, I'll be honest. Probably drop Dubey and probably even Jadeja. I think, you already have three pacers, and, with Hardik also being the fourth pacer, there's a great chance of playing, three or four outright spinners. So I think that's something that they'd be looking into. There are two schools of thought, I would like to think. One is that, we've played in 11, that is set, and there's a perfect combination, and we've never lost a match and all of that. But again, playing according to the conditions. So which one Rohit is going to take forward is a good call. But if it was up to me, I personally think Kuldeep and Chahal, or at least one of them, have to be in the playing 11.
For sure. And now coming to the opening partnership. So there's been lots of chatter about Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma. There was so much hype about that. But both Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma haven't had the best of the seasons coming up to now. But of course, we can say they'll perform in the knockouts. But look at HB Jaiswal, who's been sitting there. He's a left-hander coming into play. He's aggressive from ball one. He can give you that starts that the team wants. And to capitalize on the power play in the T20s is massive. So HB Jaiswal opening and Kohli at 3.
Absolutely. I think in the last show, I easily mentioned that I want Kohli to go one down. And given that we're going to be playing in West Indies now, it's absolutely critical that, we get those hard-hitting starts. And I'm not really worried about Rohit, let me be honest, because Rohit is looked in touch. It's just even the first match, in the warm-up match, I'm sorry, he was looked in good touch. And, going forward as well, he got few good starts and, maybe played one too many shot on a pitch that didn't help that. So going into West Indies, there's no concern about Rohit Sharma at all. But again, as you said, it's going to favor the bowlers, the spinners especially. With that in picture, definitely with Yashasvi and Rohit going hard with the new ball, you would need somebody like a Kohli in a very inexperienced middle order to take them through the entire 20 overs. So that being said, my personal call would absolutely have to be with Kohli going at number 3. But see, Kohli has this weird tendency to, whenever somebody says he can't do it, he will absolutely go ahead and do it. We saw it with Sunil Gavaskar himself, where he said he doesn't play with a good strike rate, and from the next match onwards, he started striking from ball 1. So Kohli has a tendency to do that. But that being said, I really think Kohli should play at number 3 and strike throughout the innings and take it to the at least 16th over, and then we know what he can do. So that would bring Jaiswal back in. But yeah, again, how Rohit would want to go about this, would he want to change the entire structure? Again, we were talking about the spinners coming in. So, being unbeaten with the same 11 and then making 3 or 4 changes would maybe, in terms of team combination and team confidence, it would affect greatly. So with all of that into picture, maybe on the match day he's going to take that call, whether or not he's going to be going ahead with Jaiswal or Kuldeep or Chahal or any of those matters. He's going to take that call on the match day. But anything being said, I think they need to, whichever 11 they field, I think they need to bring in their A game. I think we're going to talk about it in the future, but they need to bring their A game, mainly because Afghanistan is a force to be reckoned with. They're not the same Afghanistan, which is a walkover. There's somebody that can, upset. I don't even call that an upset anymore. They really have the skills to beat them in all 3 departments. So that being said, they need to bring their A game against Afghanistan.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma, you can never say that they're out of form. They may not be at their best, but you can never say that they're out of form.
Absolutely.
Because form is temporary and class is permanent.
Yeah.
Now coming to our opponents, Afghanistan, like you just mentioned. So there's been significant improvement in Afghanistan cricket. We see in the past how they were, now how they are. There's been significant improvement. They've been playing World Cups, T20 World Cup right now, ODI World Cup in India. They've performed brilliantly. So what's been the drastic change?
Just, I think the intent, absolutely. All these associate nations, they're not an associate nation, they play test cricket now. But, when they were an associate nation, and all these associate nations are mainly in the, talks only because of 1 or 2 players. If you see Nepal, we had Sandeep Lamachane, and Afghanistan itself, we had Rashid Khan, and then Mujibur Rahman came into the mix. So all these names and, very good bowlers or one good batsman used to give them the name. What Afghanistan has been able to do, I think, we will talk about IPL and CPL being a great improvement of that. But it's not just that, it just IPL and CPL or any franchise-based cricket only helped 1 or 2 players perform to the best ability. But I think what Afghanistan, I would say, is the second best Asian cricketing team after India. They're way better than Pakistan at the current level. So given that, I think what they've done well is the grassroots development. I think I was listening to somebody talk, Rashid or Nabi, I think I was, if not wrong. So he was saying that there's a lot of improvement in the grassroots level of the game in Afghanistan. And I think that shows, just they're not relying on Rashid Khan to come and bowl those 4 overs. Neither are they, or expecting Gurbaz or, one of them or Nabi to come and win them the game. There's a complete team performance. And especially when there's a team performance like that, again, the confidence is great. The way they beat New Zealand was absolutely surprising. I thought they'd beat New Zealand, but at least they'd come close. They couldn't even cross 100. So given all of that in the picture, I think Afghanistan, honestly, just, they're reaching heights after height. I think India should be really play well within their game to at least overcome Afghanistan, if not match them. So I honestly feel like it's going to be one hell of a contest, and Afghanistan has shown just great signs of growing to be one of the next cricketing powerhouse in Asia.
Absolutely. And 8 of the Afghanistan players who were in the squad played the IPL this year. They've been playing Caribbean Premier League, it's the West Indies, so they know the pitches, they know the conditions. So I think the fact that they've been playing all around the world, they've been putting themselves in different situations, they've been putting themselves in situations where they play in different pitches, different conditions, and they're bringing the best out of themselves.
Absolutely, I think the experience helps. Playing around the world, and especially on these grounds that they're going to play in the Super 8s. I think comparatively, India doesn't have that much of an experience. They don't play anything other than the IPL. And the last time they toured West Indies, West Indies was not the West Indies of today. Many of the big names were missing. So in terms of purely experience, I think Afghanistan pips India. But again, that being said, India has some world-class performers that can take the game away from them. And just coming back to Afghanistan, I think, even in the IPL, right, there was a time when just Rashid Khan was being picked, maybe for a couple of years or 3 years. The fact that you mentioned that there are 8 people from the current Afghanistan squad who are picked shows the kind of variety and the kind of squad that they have, and just the way they've been performing in all 3 aspects of the game is truly unbelievable. I mean, honestly, I didn't see this happening for another 3 to 4 years. Personally speaking, I thought Afghanistan and Bangladesh had a similar kind of claim to fame, because Bangladesh were also always an underdog, couldn't perform, and they had brilliances here and there, little bit of brilliance, but they never really performed to the to their best. And I think Afghanistan, the way, the rate, the speed at which they're developing their skills and performing it at the world stage is absolutely amazing.
Absolutely, Afghanistan have been inspirational. And coming to the next question, it's a no-brainer that India struggles against left-arm fast bowlers, especially in the World Cups. And the threat is not Afghanistan, the threat is Fazlullah Farooqi.
Absolutely.
He has been absolutely amazing. In the first match, he took a fifer, followed that up with a 4-for against New Zealand. He has picked up 12 wickets in just 4 matches.
Right, absolutely. I think he's been phenomenal. I think just the fact that they never played in USA, right? They never played in New York. I think if Afghanistan had at least a couple of matches in New York with that uneven bounce, he would have had a couple of more wickets as well. So he's just been absolutely amazing for them, which again brings in the same point that you're talking about. One more reason why Jaiswal has to be in the 11, with that left arm that he's bringing in, you need a left-hander to counter that swing. So, and maybe it's not the USA, it's not going to keep bouncing up and down for the 20 overs. You're going to have some swing for 1 or 2 overs, and then it's, just how good of the lengths can you bowl as a fast bowler. And again, if you see against the West Indies, the West Indies took them to the cleaners, and Farooqi, I think, was none for 38 of his 4. So, given that, I think there is still that one bit of nervousness now that they're coming off the West Indies loss. So I think that brings even more importance that Jaiswal is in the 11 and gives them a complete, bank start, that, they're probably, 40 for 1, or even for that example, 60 for 1 after 6 overs. They'd be absolutely amazed with that performance. So I think that's one way to counter Farooqi, but again, he's just been absolutely phenomenal. I think Rohit would be very, hesitant on how to play him. And even thrown in the back end of the innings as well. I think once the spinners come in the middle overs and do what they do best, he'll come back again and look to make sure that the likes of Dubey or the likes of Surya Kumar Yadav or Pant don't get the total to a great size. So I think that is where he's being very important. He's been really great in performing. But again, I think India would have their plans to counter him and play him accordingly.
Yes, so you bring up a really good point today. West Indies completely demolished Afghanistan. They outplayed them in all aspects of the game. So does this crushing defeat dent Afghanistan's self-confidence going into the Super 8s?
I don't think it will dent the self-confidence. I think what it does is it's going to let them know that they can never get complacent, because I mean they were already qualified and it was a dead rubber. But that being said, and one more thing for West Indies, when Nicholas Pooran plays the way that he did, there's very few bowlers who can stop him. He gives you chances in the first 12 balls he faces, but once Pooran is set, it becomes a whole different ball game, to stop him and from scoring runs. So it was just a Pooran, out and out Pooran show. But again, that being said, from the Afghanistan perspective, they need to make sure that, I think one thing that Australia spoke about in the last World Cup, that, peaking at the right time. You need to be able to perform at the right time, not just throughout the tournament, but, when it matters the most. So probably if they beat West Indies, their self-confidence would have gone very high, given that they beat the home team. But that being said, the loss, they wouldn't really matter that much, because they've made it through, and they've beat somebody like New Zealand. If they probably beat just Uganda and PNG or whoever the small teams are, and then still made it, they probably wouldn't have that confidence. But the fact that they beat New Zealand, a very well known and a well established team like New Zealand, I think the confidence are still high. But yeah, they would be a little bit hesitant in making some changes, and I think come the Super 8s, they'll make the necessary requirements and get it running for them.
So when you talk about India versus Afghanistan, it's going to be a spin battle, isn't it? In the Indian corner, we have Aksar, Jadeja, Kuldeep, and in the Afghanistan corner, we have Rashid Khan, Noor Ahmed, Mujibur Rahman, and Mohammad Nabi.
Absolutely, all the names you said, world class spinners. I think the middle overs, I think, is going to where the game is going to be won. Not just which spinner bowls well, but which team's batsman, the middle order batsman, tackles the spin well. I think we have some good names as well. We've added Shivam Dubey for the sole reason of slogging those spinners. We have Surya Kumar Yadav, who's a great player of spin. Punt looks to go down the ground and hit them out of the ground. So. We have all these players who are going to do really well in terms of spin. So how they counter the likes of Rashid Khan and Mujibur Rahman and Mohammad Nabi and all of them is going to be really crucial and critical. And again, coming to the Indian spinners, I think again we need a leg spinner, because just the fact that it's not about the bounce, right? In the West Indies, it's about the turn and the bounce. So you need some spinners who can extract that spin from the surface, especially wrist spinners in terms of Kuldeep and Chahal, like you mentioned. I don't think a lot. Jadeja is not a huge spinner of the ball. Aksar is not a huge spinner of the ball. He just looks to get the bounce and bowl in the right area. So I'm not really sure about whether Aksar and Jadeja will be able to get the best out of this pitch. But that being said, still world class spinners, and how they go about their business will absolutely be critical. And I think in this ground especially, they shouldn't just look to contain the runs. They should be attacking, and that's one thing that India has done great over the tournament and from the past few years as well in terms of the spinners. So and then Afghanistan is also catching up, given that they have some world class spinners as well. So whichever team tackles the opposition team spinners well will definitely win the game.
So world class spin battle is absolutely something to really look out for. We talked about the Indian openers, Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli. They haven't had the best of the seasons, but of the Afghanistan openers, Zadran and Gurbaz have had the best of their seasons against New Zealand. That partnership, they've been brilliant all over. We need to get them out early, or else they are going to give Afghanistan a brilliant start.
Absolutely, and we have one person who can get the job done, goes by the name of Jasprit Bumrah. So I think that's going to be one battle to look out for when we talk about key battles. I think Bumrah versus the openers, they've been absolutely amazing. And just as you mentioned, it'll be key to getting those two people out, because the middle order, although very experienced with one more Zadran who's there, and there's Nabi who comes in, and all of them who are very experienced batsmen, but they have not really performed well. This is one reason why I kept a close eye on the West Indies match, is that even if in the West Indies match the openers couldn't get a move on, so even after the the Afghanistan openers got out, maybe if a little bit of stability was given by the middle order, you never know how the game will go. So that being said, the middle order is in a little bit of a problem in terms of Afghanistan. So only if India managed to get a couple of wickets up front, getting those two big names of Gurbaz and Zadran, if they're successful in getting them out, I think it's absolutely going to change the way the game is played. So I think all of that being said, it's going to be one heck of a contest, I'll honestly be saying, because not just have they got runs, they've got runs at quick intervals. So yeah, it's going to be just great, and I think India is going to look to break the opening partnership as soon as possible.
So Bumrah versus the Afghanistan openers is absolutely a matchup to look out for. There have been going to be lots of matchups to look out for. So who is your player to look out for?
In terms of Afghanistan, I think the first player that comes to my mind has to be Rashid Khan. Proven world-class performer. There are a few other big names in the Afghanistan lineup, but none compares to the size of Rashid Khan. Just both in terms of batting, bowling, especially bowling, but batting and fielding as well. He just set the bar very high. One thing that I would like to see from Rashid Khan is that I want him to bat up the order. I think he has some really big hitting skills that that very go unnoticed sometimes. So maybe play him as a floater. If you get off to a good start, maybe get him even one down, who knows, and maybe let him play a 10 ball 30 or 10 ball 20, and that's still that's a win-win situation for Rashid. So Rashid Khan in terms of India, in terms of Afghanistan, and coming to India, has to be Virat Kohli. I don't know if he's going to open. I don't know if he's going to play one down. I don't know if he's going to come in the middle order as well. I don't know where he's going to play, but he clearly is one person to look out for when it's a big match. And I think it's a Super 8. It's not a knockout, but you have to win to stay in the hunt. So I think come the big match, come the big player. So it has to be Virat Kohli for me.
Who bigger than Virat Kohli and Rashid
Absolutely.
Khan? And this group is really exciting. Group B is even more trickier, but Group A is also very tough. India, Australia, Afghanistan and Bangladesh. Only two prevail. Who are your top?
To the naked eye, it looks like it's going to be Australia and India. But never say never. I think Afghanistan, we were talking about, have just performed amazingly well, and Bangladesh also, given on their day, can come up and perform. So it's great to see a lot of Asian teams qualify in the first place. I think we have three of them, or even Australia for that matter, four of them, all Asian countries qualifying for the Super 8's. I think it's going to be crucial to get a win starting off, because even if we have an off day against Australia, I think if we have a good run rate against Bangladesh and Afghanistan, we can make up for it. So these two matches become really crucial. I think it's going to be Australia and India, but I really want it to be India and Afghanistan, just for the fact that it's an underdog story, and I'm always a fan for a huge underdog story. And if Afghanistan can even make it to the semis, and God forbid I'm saying it to the finals, the amount of growth and amount of exposure it's going to give in Afghanistan right now can be compared to what 1983 World Cup Kapil Dev did for us. It's literally going to be the exact same thing there, because nobody expected Afghanistan to come the way they did, and they have a great chance of making it work. And if all goes well according to plan, we might see them qualify for the semis as well.
It is absolutely exciting to see whether it is India and Australia, or it is India and Afghanistan.
Let it just not
or
be.
Is it
no.
Afghanistan and Australia?
Yeah, hopefully not. But yeah, just hopefully India along with any of the other two would be great.
Absolutely, the Super 8's is something to look out for. That's it for the India versus Afghanistan game. But in the Group A, we have India, Australia, Afghanistan, Bangladesh. In Group B, we have England, South Africa, USA, and West Indies. Some really spicy matchups are coming up. Do not forget to follow us on our social media handles. Stay tuned.